A rainy night in Vancouver, a night baker's quiet ride home. Find a position that feels most comfortable now. Allow the pillow to support your head and neck, and slowly let the weight leave your shoulders. Place your hands somewhere comfortable. The fingers that held, carried, or worked today. Do not need to hold anything now. Slowly breathe in, then breathe out, a little more gently and a little more slowly. Once again, breathe in quietly and slowly let the breath go. With each breath out, allow your forehead and the area around your eyes to soften. Let the tension in your jaw and neck begin to loosen. You do not need to make yourself fall asleep. As the story continues, simply allow your body to become comfortable in its own time. Tonight, we will travel through a rainy Vancouver night. A man who has spent the night baking bread, but in a small downtown bakery. I will finish his work and take a quiet night bus home. The journey will begin beside the warmth of the ovens. It will carry him through wet streets, dark neighborhoods, and finally into the comfort of his bed. Let us follow that journey now. On a side street in downtown Vancouver, there is a small bakery. The shops along the street are closed, but a light is still glowing. Inside the kitchen at the back, raindrops rest against the large window. Beyond the glass, the street lights appear soft and blurred. The kitchen is warm. Heat from the ovens and the comforting scent of fresh bread remain in the quiet room. The baker stands in front of the oven. A little flour rests on his dark work clothes. He wears a simple baker's cap and thick oven gloves as he watches the final loaves finish baking. Throughout the night, he has prepared several batches of dough. He measured the ingredients carefully. He mixed the dough until it reached the right texture. He waited while it slowly rose. Then he divided it into even portions, shaped each piece by hand, and placed the loaves onto baking trays. Only a few loaves remain in the oven now. The timer makes a small sound. The baker opens the oven and slowly removes the final tray. Warm air moves toward his face. The scent of baked bread becomes deeper and richer. He studies the surface of the loaves. Their color is even, and natural lines have opened across the crust. The final batch has baked well. He places the tray onto a cooling rack. Metal touches metal with a small, clear sound. Then the kitchen becomes quiet again. The oven that worked throughout the night will soon be resting too. The baker removes his gloves and checks that the oven is switched off. He returns the tools to their places and wipes the remaining flour from the work table. The large bowls have already been washed. The unused ingredients have been sealed inside their containers. The kitchen is clean and ready for the next person who will work there. The clock on the wall has moved a little beyond 4 in the morning. Only now does the baker notice the heaviness in his legs. His feet and calves, which supported him through the long shift, seem to understand that they will soon be allowed to rest. He walks into the small changing area. He removes the flour-covered apron. Then he takes off his work clothes and baker's cap and places them neatly away. After washing his hands, he changes into a dark shirt and jacket. In the mirror, he sees the tired face of someone who has remained awake all night. But there's nothing more for him to do. Every loaf needed for the morning has been prepared. The ovens are off. The kitchen is clean. He leaves a short note for the next worker, listing the final production count and the place where a special order has been stored. Then he places a small bag over one shoulder. In the darkened shop, the finished loaves rest behind the display glass. In a few hours, someone will open the door and choose bread for a morning table. But by then, the baker will be resting at home. He switches off the final light. The warmth of the kitchen disappears, leaving only the blue darkness beyond the windows. When he opens the door, cool air and the sound of rain move inside. The baker steps out and checks that the door has locked properly. Then he begins walking without looking back. His night is not being announced as finished. It is simply beginning to move quietly toward rest. The street is quiet. A fine rain is falling, and the lights from signs and traffic signals stretch across the wet road. The baker closes the zipper of his jacket and begins walking slowly. After spending so many hours inside the warm kitchen, the outdoor air feels cool at first, but after a few steps, the coolness becomes refreshing. The heat left by the ovens fades from his face. The tiredness that he ignored while working begins to settle naturally through his body. The cafe he passes is closed. Inside the window, chairs have been placed neatly on top of the tables. Only a few office windows remain lit across the street. During the day, this part of the city is filled with people. At this hour, it feels like a different place. A taxi moves along the wet road. Its tires make a soft sound. As they pass through a thin layer of water, then the sound disappears. The baker stops at a crosswalk. There are almost no cars, but he waits for the light to change. He gently rolls his shoulders back. His neck and upper back bend forward during much of the night, or begin to loosen. The signal changes, and he crosses the street. The bus stop is not far away. He walks this route often, but the city looks a little different every night. On clear nights, the dark shape of the mountains can be seen between the buildings. On rainy nights, the windows and roads reflect the city lights and make them appear softer. Tonight, every edge is blurred. The streetlights, the buildings, and the distant traffic signals glow quietly through the rain. The baker does not review his work. He has already checked the dough, the oven temperatures, and the number of finished loaves. There is no need to carry those thoughts beyond the bakery door. With every step, the ovens and work tables move farther away. His home and a bed move a little closer. Several people are waiting at the stop. One person rests near the wall. Another looks quietly at a phone. They may also have finished late shifts, or they may simply be returning home after a long night. No one speaks loudly. Only the rain continues against the roof of the shelter. The baker stands beneath it and brushes a little water from his sleeve. The arrival display shows that the next night bus is not far away. He places both feet comfortably on the ground. He is tired, but he does not feel uneasy. He knows the bus will come. He knows the way home. The most difficult work of the night has already passed. All that remains is to board the bus and sit down. Two headlights appear in the distance. At first, they are only small points of light. Then they move closer, forming long reflections across the wet pavement. A low engine sound can be heard. The night bus approaches and slows beside the stop. The doors open. Warm air and gentle light move out into the rain. The waiting passengers board one by one. The baker taps his transit card. A short confirmation sound is heard. He gives the driver a small nod and walks farther inside. Many of the seats are empty. He chooses a seat near a window, but he does not turn to look outside. He places his small bag near his feet and leans his back against the seat. His hands rest loosely on his thighs. The doors close. The engine settles into a low vibration. Then the bus begins to move. His body is pressed back very slightly before settling comfortably into the seat. He no longer needs to walk, does not need to watch the road, or stand beneath the rain. The bus continues the journey for him. A low, steady engine sound refills the bus. Beneath it is the softer sound of tires moving over wet pavement. The baker sits with his head slightly lowered, resting against the seat. He does not follow the view outside. For a moment, he looks only at the dark floor before him and at the shadows that move gently across the nearby seats. His eyelids become heavy. While he was working, there was no time to think about tiredness. There was always another task. Another batch of dough. Another oven to check. Another tray to move at the correct time. His body was tired, but the work continued. Now there is nothing left to prepare. He does not need to remember the next stop. There is still time before he reaches home, and the bus is following a familiar route. He slowly closes his eyes. He is not fully asleep. He can still hear the doors opening and closing, the quiet voice of the announcements seems to come from somewhere far away. The bus stops. The brakes release a brief breath of air. The doors open. Cool air enters for a moment. One or two passengers step aboard. Then the doors close and the bus begins moving again. It travels a little farther. It gently gains speed. Then it slows at another traffic light. There is nothing hurried about the repetition. The baker's shoulders lower. The seat supports the back that remained tense throughout the night. His fingers are no longer touching flour or testing dough. His wrists are not lifting heavy trays. His feet, tired from standing, are still on the floor. When the bus follows a curve, his body leans very slightly to one side. When the road becomes straight, he slowly returns to the center. The gentle motion feels almost like a rocking chair moving very slowly. His head lowers a little farther. The tension leaves his jaw and neck. Raindrops move across the windows, but he does not look at them. He hears only the softened sounds of rain and road beyond the glass. Outside, the lights of Vancouver continue to pass. Wet streets, low buildings, and the distant outline of the mountains move gradually behind the bus. The baker does not need to watch them. The city moves outside. He rests inside the warm bus. Passengers leave one by one. Footsteps pass through the aisle. The doors open and close. Each time, the bus becomes a little quieter. The driver's silhouette can be seen near the front, several rows away. Gemini. Another passenger rests with the head against the seat. At this hour, no one asks anyone else for an explanation. There is no need to explain. Why someone is going home so late? There is no need to describe what work has been completed or how tired the body feels. Everyone sits quietly and waits for the right stop. The baker slowly breathes in a very faint scent of bread. Still remains on his jacket. It is the scent of warm flour and baked crust, but it no longer feels like a signal to keep working. It is only a small reminder that the night passed safely. He releases a long breath. As he breathes out, his back settles more deeply into the seat. Tonight's work is complete. The finished bread is cooling on the racks. Soon the next workers will begin their shift. But when that time comes, the baker does not need to be there. The bakery will continue without him. He is allowed to rest. The bus leaves the taller downtown buildings behind and moves through quieter neighborhoods. The distance between stops grows slightly longer. The warm interior lights now seem softer now. Without opening his eyes, the baker feels the small movements of the bus. The vehicle shifts gently. The engine's vibration moves through the seat. His breathing naturally becomes slower. When the bus moves, his body moves a little. When the bus stops, his body becomes completely still. Movement and quiet alternate again and again. Between them, his thoughts grow shorter. He does not need to remember how many loaves he made. He does not need to plan tomorrow. He does not need to decide what he will do when he reaches home. He will take off his jacket and shoes. Then he will go to bed. That is enough. A familiar stop name is heard in the announcement. There are still 1 or 2 stops remaining. The baker keeps his eyes closed. For the time that remains, he allows the seat to hold him. He rests a little longer. He breathes a little more slowly, and he moves a little deeper into the quiet of the night. When the next announcement is heard, The baker slowly opens his eyes. His stop is getting closer. He does not move quickly. First, he places both feet firmly on the floor. Then he lifts his bag. As the bus slows, his body moves slightly forward. The brakes make a low sound and the doors open. The baker quietly thanks the driver and steps onto the wet pavement. The doors close behind him. The warm interior light remains visible for a moment. Then the bus begins to move. Its red rear lights travel through the rain and disappear around the corner. The street becomes quiet again. His home is not far from the stop. The rain is lighter now. Drops gathered on the tips of the trees or fall whenever the branches move. The baker walks without hurrying. Only a few more steps remain. One step, then another, the sound of his shoes touching the wet pavement. We small in the quiet street. Most of the windows in the low houses are dark. Only a few porch lights shine gently beside the doors. He climbs the familiar steps, takes the key from his pocket. After opening the door, he enters the house and slowly closes the rain outside. The home is warm and quiet. He does not switch on the bright ceiling light. Instead, he turns on a small lamp near the entrance. A soft yellow light rests near the floor. It reflects faintly on the damp surface of his jacket. He removes the jacket and hangs it on a hook. Then he places his shoes neatly beside the door. His feet immediately feel more comfortable. He leaves his bag on a chair. There is nothing else to organize tonight. In the kitchen, he pours a glass of warm water. He holds the cup between both hands and feels the warmth in his palms. As he drinks slowly, he listens to the rain beyond the window. There are no oven timers here. There is no ventilation fan. There is no dough to check and no tray to move. Only the rain and the very low sound of the refrigerator remain. He leaves the cup in the sink and walks toward the bedroom. A little light from the street enters through the curtains. The baker changes into comfortable clothes and sits on the edge of the bed. The moment his body touches the mattress, the tiredness he carried quietly seems to settle all at once. He places his feet beneath the blanket and slowly lies down. The pillow supports his head and neck. He pulls the blanket toward his shoulders. The final trace of the cool night air disappears. There is nowhere else he needs to go. There is no bus to wait for. There is no stop to remember. There is no oven to check, and no work table to clean. Every door is closed. The home is safe. The baker closes his eyes. The gentle movement of the bus seems to remain somewhere within his body. The bed feels as though it is moving very slowly, accepting his weight more deeply. Raindrops touch the window. One small sound is heard. Another follows. The rhythm does not need to be perfect. The rain falls in its own time. Sleep also arrives in its own time. His fingers rest. His wrists, which worked with dough all night, are rested. His legs and feet, tired from standing, they release their weight beneath the blanket. His back and shoulders sink more deeply into the mattress. The breath enters quietly and leaves even more gently. When a thought appears, there is no need to follow it. Allow it to remain for a moment, then let it move away, like a raindrop sliding down the glass. The bakery is far away now, the warm light of the ovens. The flour left on the work table, the wet bus stop, the quiet bus moving through the streets. Every image slowly fades into the darkness. Only the warm bed and the sound of rain remain. There is nothing to prepare, nothing to finish. You too may begin to move away from everything you needed to do today. Breathe in slowly once more and release the breath very gently. The body becomes heavier. The thoughts become lighter. The sounds around you move farther away. Even the sense of time begins to soften. The bus has already reached its destination. The door is closed. The rain remains outside the window. Now you may simply move into this deep and comfortable quiet. A little deeper, a little more slowly, toward a place where no one is calling you. Into a quiet space where no task is waiting. Beneath the soft darkness, deeper than the sound of the rain, resting, drifting, and slowly sinking into deep sleep.